No, I don't see any issues, but I think, again, when you don't get the result that you want, there's got to be some issues, right? I mean, 31-0, that's embarrassing, man. We put too much into this game to come out here and just, not have a shot. And, my heart's broken for really the Raider fans. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot that goes into this. And there's a lot of things on that field that we can do better. And so, again, I'm not looking at anyone else. I'm looking at myself when I say that. And so when I think about the game and how we can get better, I think about how I can play better and how I can lead my teammates better and how I can play better on that field.
And that was Geno Smith after the Raiders' humbling, unacceptable, embarrassing, dismal, anything that any bad adjective that you want to put on it. 31-0 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs here at GEHSA, right?
GHA? Geehaw?
Geehaw. But you don't pronounce it. You just letter it. That's how it's supposed to be, I was told today from somebody in Kansas City, which was much more enlightening than whatever happened on the football field today with the Raiders. Just an utterly embarrassing and an unacceptable loss today to the Kansas City Chiefs, 31-0. Could have been even more. The Chiefs literally, they all but went with a running clock.
Yeah.
I think Andy Reid went over to the referee and asked for a running clock, kind of like you do in high school.
Well,
pulled all of his players. He put the JV quarterback in. The ninth grader came in. They got a few snaps today.
Well, it's by the way, the Raiders starting quarterback from last year. I don't know if you want to say JV quarterback on that one. I mean, that was the guy the Raiders went to as a starter. But to illustrate your point, yeah, it could. Patrick Mahomes was in for 5 drives, 4 touchdowns and a field goal. They took him out. Gardner Minshew came in. They just basically started running the ball. Yeah. And then late in the game, just to demonstrate, I mean, this is a very unimportant part of it, but just to demonstrate where we were in the game, the Chiefs became second team in the last 5 years to take a knee before the 2-minute warning. It just doesn't happen in the NFL. They were just like, it's done. It's over. 31-0. Is actually much, much closer than what this game actually was. The box score is historically bad in many different ways for the Raiders. 3 first downs in the entire game. Their fewest since 2008, infamous Jamarcus Russell game. 30 plays, the fewest any team has run on offense since the Cleveland Browns' first game of 1999. That game is notable because it was the first game in franchise history. The rebirth of the Browns as a really, really ugly game.
Just to explain to everybody, the old Browns moved to Baltimore. Right. It became the Ravens, and Cleveland, the city of Cleveland, basically sued and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, the NFL. They literally grew another Cleveland Browns organization out from the dirt, basically, and that was an expansion team. So the game that he's talking about was that the first game of the expansion Cleveland Browns, which is a bad team. That's going to be a bad team.
I believe it was Tim Couch in that game, I think, if I remember.
I don't know. Was he their first pick because they had an expansion?
Well, I thought he was.
Either way. Wait, this is actually much more interesting than the football game today, but I digress. We got to go back to the Raider games. By the way, this is Vegas Nation First and 10, of course, brought to you by the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Vegas Nation, and Station Casinos STN Sports. I'm Vinny Bonsignore. I cover the Raiders for the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation. My colleague Adam Hill, to my left, also covers the Raiders and a bunch of other things for the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation. And obviously, we're talking about one of the worst performances. I'm just going to say it. It was the worst performance that I've ever covered as an NFL beat writer. Maybe, but I think the Raiders might have won the 3-0 game against the Vikings, right? Or did they lose that game?
I think they lost that game, but I think they had over 200 yards of offense.
Yeah, so even that game, the 3-0 game, that was so bad I forgot who actually won the game or who lost it. But anyway, it paled in comparison to me to this, because this was, first of all, just total domination by the Chiefs.
Couldn't get a first down.
The Raiders could not get a first down. They could not stop the Chiefs from getting a first down. They had, I know the Raiders had 3 first downs. I want to say the Chiefs had 30 first downs to 3 for the Raiders.
I believe it was 29 through 3 quarters. So
it was 29 through 3 quarters.
Yeah.
So which was, there were periods of time. I mean, more plays than yards. I mean, the Chiefs had more plays than the Raiders had yards.
By double?
By an extraordinary amount. I like Adam said, he described it beautifully. it was a record-breaking, porous performance
historically bad.
Historically bad from the box score perspective. Like, you almost have to look at it and go, wait a minute, is that the full game for the Chiefs and the first quarter for the Raiders, or the first half for the Raiders? It was that bad on every level. And no, nobody was happy with that performance. And but I guess it kind of is what it is. And here's my question to you: was this a reality check, or was this a wake up call, or is it just the reality of where the Raiders are right now, that this is a rebuilding team and that's exactly what they are? Or maybe it was just the reality check that's what that is what's going on right here, because
it's time to start a new rebuild.
Yeah. Or I think in some cases they're, you got a Brock Bowers, you got a Nash, and you're rebuilding right now. They've been rebuilding. They haven't done a very good job of it, but the last couple of drafts, I'd say, have yielded some pretty good players. But like in a perfect world, they could win 7-8 games maybe this year. They could have, but nothing has gone perfectly or even good for them in so many different assets. And, so your thoughts on whether this was just a reality check or a wake-up call, or this is just who the Raiders are?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is just kind of involved, and it's fitting, I think, that it's here in Kansas City, and Kansas City is the team that did this. Kansas City has obviously owned the division for the last decade, and there's no question about it. The thought process going into this year was that the Chiefs were going to come back to the pack a little bit. They got blown out in the Super Bowl last year, kind of shown some vulnerabilities. It was like, okay, they're coming back. The Chargers are getting a little bit better. The Broncos are getting a little bit better. The Raiders are supposed to be getting a little bit better. Chiefs are coming back a little bit. I think you saw two things today, in my opinion, in this game. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. Like, the Chiefs are the best team in the division. They're going to win the division, in my opinion. They finally got back to full strength in terms of their receivers, and the offense looked unbelievable. Now, it was against the Raiders' defense, so how much can you take away? The offense looked unbelievable. The defense looked good. Like,
I'm going to go one step further.
The Chiefs.
This is a better Chiefs team than last year's Chiefs. They have athletic ability again. They have wide receivers. Running back, you could probably say that they could upgrade there, but it's fine enough.
Yeah.
And when you add now the players that they have out on the perimeter, this is a much more explosive Chiefs team without question. So they're better to be than last year.
They're very good. I think they're the best team in the division, and that is one takeaway. The other takeaway, conversely to that, is that while the Raiders and the rest of the division thought they were going to make up ground, the rest of the division might have. The Raiders have not. I think the gap is bigger now between the Chiefs and the Raiders than it has been
completely agree.
The last couple of years, which is not a good thing for the Raiders team that was trying this hybrid rebuild of, we talked about this going into the season, that Pete Carroll said, hey, I win 10 games a year. That's what I do. They weren't going to take a full step back like many people might have suggested that they do. They were, hey, we're going to press forward. We're going to try to rebuild the culture. We're going to try to win some games, bring in some veterans to help some of these young guys, and that's how we're going to move forward. That was what the organizational message was. I don't think it's working. I think right now you see what happened today. Now, we understand. I think we can say right off, Brock Bowers didn't play. Jacoby Myers didn't play. Absolutely, that's true. Those guys were not making up this difference.
No.
That's not going to happen. They might have been a little bit better. They might have got a first down here and there for sure.
Yeah.
That's fine. They weren't changing the outcome of the game. They weren't changing the trajectory of the game. They weren't making it that much closer of a game. Like, this is just this is where these teams are. These franchises are where they are right now, and not much has changed. If anything, it's gone in the opposite direction that the Raiders wanted.
Okay, so if you're now, whether it's organically, inadvertently, however you want to describe it, the Raiders are where they are, and they're one of the worst teams in the NFL, right? The way they played today, that's on a trajectory to potentially finish with the worst record in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like you look at the rest of the schedule, and outside of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that's no gimme. I don't care what happened to the Jaguars today against the Los Angeles Rams in bloody old England.
That was a terrible accident.
I know. Well, it's fitting for the type of day that we just.
That was the accent of that was the version of the Raiders game today. That was the equivalent accent.
I'll take it. I'll take it. But what I'm saying is that Jacksonville Jaguars team, that's not a gimme by any means. The Raiders are in no position to.
Giants no longer.
The Giants are no longer a gimme. So those were the two gimmies. The Browns, but even then, I don't think that's a gimme by any stretch of the imagination. Then you get into, how about the fact that they got to play the Broncos twice, and the Broncos are just a better team than they are. They still got to play the Chargers again. They got to play the Chiefs again. Huh? They got to play they got to play the Houston Texans, a playoff team from last year that will probably have things together by the time they see them in December. And they got to play the Philadelphia Eagles at a time in December when the Eagles are always hitting their stride. So you start doing the math, and where are they going to find 3 more wins? Where are they going to? I'm like that's a lot to me. Right now, it doesn't even seem likely that they're going to be able to win 3 more games.
Yeah, I mean that 3 wins would probably be impressive, I guess. For 3
more,
for where they are,
which
3
would
more
give them
wins,
5.
Right.
So potentially, we're looking at a 4-win team.
4 or 5, maybe 6.
Which is that the worst thing that would happen to the Raiders right now? And maybe not, right? He's going to keep his mouth shut here, but speak up. Like I think that's why I'm saying reality check. This is what it is. So just accept it almost.
I know that our viewers, our listeners weren't thrilled.
I think they'll be on your side now.
They weren't now. Yes, they were thrilled with this in the offseason. That I said this repeatedly. You'd rather win 4 games than 8. I think that's absolutely true. There's no question about it. I understand that it's different for us that are just covering the team. We're writing about them, like not as emotionally invested as a fan. As a fan, you have to watch the games on Sunday. You had to watch this. Now, in the long run, in the grand scheme of things, in the history of the franchise, like today's probably fine. Like you lose, that's fine. You're going to get a better draft pick at the end of the year. I understand you're sitting at home, like you're spending your Sunday investing in a team emotionally that is letting you down like they did today. But in the long run, yeah, I think winning 4 games or 3 games is better for this franchise than winning 8.
My position was you don't go into a season kind of knowingly doing that or even intentionally doing that at all. I think you go in trying with the best objectives in mind, and that's to win a bunch of games. But somewhere along the line, what's Bill Parcells, you are what you are. You are what your record is, and the Raiders are 2-5 right now. And I don't even know how they beat the New England Patriots to start the season. That's out of whack now when you really think about it.
Well, another thing that I think that day that I said that a lot of people got mad about, I got a lot of feedback. I remember I said the Patriots played the worst game they're going to play all season today. That's what happened. I think that's what happened in that game. I think basically that was, if they play it again, I think nobody expects the Raiders would win that game. But yes, they got by. Now, I do, going forward, like what does that look like? What does it look like to try to play for the future? I think it's a fair question. I will say this: if I have a rookie on the roster, on the active roster, he's not a healthy scratch. That's not happening. No rookies are healthy scratches the rest of the way. For me, if I'm putting this roster together, why are they there? They're there to play, to develop. They're getting in the game.
From this point forward.
Right, they're playing. Those guys are getting in the game. That's what it looks like to play for the future, to develop for the future. If you have a choice between a veteran and a rookie or a young guy, like you're playing the young guy and sitting the veteran out. And I understand that it's tough to do and you're not putting your best team on the field necessarily, but like that's the ultimate goal, is to build for the future, to get better for the long run.
What about the trade deadline?
I mean, Jacoby Myers will not be a part of this team in my mind.
Shouldn't.
If I'm
at this point
running the organization, I think for multiple reasons.
I was going to give it the next 2 weeks. See what happens here, what happens against the Jacksonville Jaguars 2 days before the trade deadline. But at this point, I think
it's not going to benefit the Raiders in terms of picks necessarily. I don't think you're going to get a significantly better pick than you would in getting a comp pick at some point down the road. But you're doing it for a couple of reasons. One, you're clearing the way for, look, I understand you saw the young guys out there today. It didn't work out. But you're clearing the way for them to play.
Why isn't it working out?
They're not ready. I think that's
no. I mean, is it I'm going to go back and, as they say, watch the film. But I'm wondering, are they not getting open? Is Geno not getting enough time for them to get open so that he could throw to him? He didn't have a whole lot of time today.
I was going to say yes, all of those things.
Yes,
all of those things are true.
Right.
I think that, there was one that was certainly miscommunication that they threw down the left sideline, that Geno was upset about Dante Thornton and where he was, and I'm sure that he would say, hey, you need to be in. We don't know exactly where he was that compared to where Geno needed him, but he just wasn't where he was.
Right.
And he's kind of working with him there. He's tutoring him. Again, those are the things that happen in games that you kind of help with, and you kind of build for the future. But to the point about Jacoby Myers, you're not going to get a significantly better pick by trading him than you would for letting him walk in free agency and get a compensatory pick. Like, you're not doing it for the pick necessarily. You're doing it to clear space for the younger guys, that they get the reps, they get the action. You're also doing it, I think, to send a message to veteran players out there of, hey, we're not just going to hold you here, for lack of a better term, against your will. Like, it's not helping us to be here. You want to be gone. You want to go compete somewhere else.
We're not paying you. We're not going to give you the contract.
We are going to show that we understand the situation. And I'm saying we, as if I'm running the Raiders, that
you're John Spytek.
If you're in a situation where you really want to be somewhere else and you're not necessarily helping our purposes, we are an organization that cares about players and we care about. You don't just give guys their own way. Yeah. But in this situation, it helps you and it helps him. Yeah. I think that sends goodwill to agents and players around the league.
Yeah, well, like, why? What would even be the, motivation to do the opposite of that? Just vindictiveness, and I don't think that. I think the only reason that I think the reason why Jacoby is still on the team is because they wanted to win. They want to try to win games. It's okay. It's that was the objective coming into the season. But everything eventually defines itself, and in the Raiders' case, they've defined themselves to be a highly mediocre team. Now, yes, they were missing
mediocre.
Worse. I think mediocre with those guys on the field, with a Jacoby and a Brock Bowers. And I think that, but it's such a thin line because they just don't have the depth or the experience in some cases, as we saw today. They're so vulnerable to injuries that when you take a guy like Brock Bowers out, and combine that with Jacoby Myers, and not having Colton Miller out there is obviously a big deal as well. They're just not built to be able to withstand that. That's not to say that they would have won this game, but maybe it's a little bit closer. But without him, they've got no chance against a team like this.
Yeah. I think
I'm saying just to make it even respectable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let alone win. Forget that.
Look, and we're talking a lot about the offensive side. The defense wasn't any better, and they suffered several injuries on the defensive side of the ball today too. They were pushed around. They were bullied. The Chiefs. It's like Chiefs were putting together big plays and scoring 60-yard touchdowns.
No, it was death by a.
It was the Chiefs just did everything they wanted, staying ahead of schedule. Every single set of downs, 4 yards, 5 yards, and then pick up the third one, just over and over and over again. The Raiders couldn't do anything.
It was 3 yards in a cloud of dust, or it was. I would say it was 4.5 yards in a cloud of dust, literally. Down after down after down. It wasn't even that. They would get to 3rd and 2 every single time we looked. Adam and I were talking about that in the press box. Where here we go, 3rd and short again, 3rd and short again, 3rd and short, and the Raiders were helpless to stop them, and they converted 9 of 15 third downs. The Chiefs did, and that led to these massively prolonged double-digit drives covering 90 yards or more. I think one of them was like 84 yards, but you get the point. And they scored on 4 straight. Really 5, but four touchdown drives in their first 4 possessions, and then a field goal. And that's when Andy Reid said, "Yeah, we're going to take it easy on you guys and take everybody out."
I'm just thinking about this now. I'm trying to think back to how the game played out. Did the Raiders only have 2 plays in Chiefs territory, and it was on the first drive? So they got the long return. I have the
Ashton had a nice little run. They threw a nice little pass to Ashton. Everything was okay. This is the game plan. Obviously, get the ball to Ashton Genty. You don't have Jacoby Myers. You don't have Brock Bowers. Get it into Tu's hands. And then I think there was a penalty in there somewhere. Or,
there was.
And all of a sudden, now they're off schedule.
Well, the third down play on the first drive, they had the pass downfield. Dante Thornton, actually, nice pass, nice catch from Geno. Great throw from Geno Smith on 3rd down. They picked it up, and I believe that was a Jackson
holding
penalty.
Yeah, that was actually, honestly, and I said this to Adam, that might have been Geno's best throw of the year. Like there was velocity, or it was on target, but that soon evaporated. And this Raiders team, this Raiders offense, in no way, shape, or form is built for big plays. And so when they get off schedule, they're done, man. They are completely done, and that's what happened again today with the penalties and sacks. Sacks killed them today, and they're not equipped to deal with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and when they did, as we said, they pick up the first down with Dante Thornton on the first drive. It's called back.
Yeah.
Ashton Genty can get nothing going. He runs for 8 yards. Nice run, picks up a first down. Jack Basham lined up offside. Like it just
Unforced
happened.
error
It just
right
happened over and over again with those kind of situations. You get a third down stop, defensive holding, illegal contact. And by the way, if you're out there saying, "Yeah, the Chiefs always get all the calls," like no, the calls were absolutely right,
totally legit,
completely correct. They just could knock it out of their own way, and any situation.
Yeah.
And, I guess credit if you're out there saying, "Hey, didn't anything?" I mean, the special teams was okay again today. 2 weeks in a row, they've been okay on special teams. I actually asked Raheem Mostert about that and said, "Hey, do you take anything from the fact that special teams are getting better?" And he said, "No. I mean, it's great. We have to do it, but no."
Full disclosure, I normally do a post-game story called 3 Up, 3 Down. 3 players or parts of the team that either contributed to the cause or were detrimental to the cause. I couldn't come up with 3 ups, so we scrapped it.
Yeah.
It would have been totally disingenuous to even suggest that anybody did anything good today, because guess what? Nobody did.
I have one. I'll look back. I thought Jonah Laulu played pretty well today.
Okay.
He did drop a potential interception. I'm sure that he's not thrilled about that.
Talk about that. I mean, the bumbling of
Yeah.
there were a couple of he's a defensive lineman, because God made him that way, but
Yeah.
he also doesn't have hands of an athlete, wide receiver. But man, not to say that would have turned the game around, but it's little. They can't even do that right now. They don't have the ability to make a big play if their life depended on it.
It was time and time again when plays were there to be made. The Chiefs made them. The Raiders did not. I mean, that's as simple as it can be. But it's the reality of where the Raiders are right now and where the Chiefs are right now. I do think that is an important part to take away from this game. That yes, the Raiders were awful in every single way. The Chiefs were very, very good.
Pete Carroll said afterwards, "Hey, whoever's getting ready to play the Chiefs coming up, get prepared, because that's a pretty good football team." We're going to take a quick break. We're going to go to our own Heidi Fang and Station Casinos Race and Sportsbook Director Chuck Esposito, and they're going to talk about some all what they normally talk about, including Monday night's game. Chuck, Heidi, take it away.
Joining us now here on the First and 10 post-game podcast, we have Chuck Esposito from Station Casinos, the Race and Sportsbook Director. He's going to break down all the numbers as we go into the Monday Night Football matchups. Let's start off with the Buccaneers game, because they are 5.5-point road underdogs in this one, Chuck. I'm looking at how this plays out so far. We also, I forgot to mention, a doubleheader Monday night. What do you make of this one, Chuck?
You stole my thunder. I was going to say that. Yay, sportsbooks. It's a doubleheader on Monday night. And it's a traditional doubleheader where one game finishes and the next game starts. So they're not running simultaneously like we've had a few weeks this year. Tampa and Detroit's a great game. I think you can make a case right now that Detroit's maybe, even though they lost last week, the best team in the league. They haven't missed a beat offensively, even losing Ben Johnson. Tampa might be the best team in the league, just period, right now. I mean, they're 5-1. They're playing so great with Baker Mayfield. He will not slide. I mean, he takes shots. That play last week where he ran those 16 yards and just got up and was pumped. The team loves that. Unfortunately, Tampa's beat up at wideout. Detroit's beat up at DB. This game has gone from 4 to 5.5. Ticket counts do favor Detroit a little bit in this game, but I really think, Heidi, that these two teams will meet again sometime in January in the postseason. You have to remember, too, Tampa went to Detroit last year, week 1, and Baker Mayfield and the Bucs won that game. So maybe a little bit of revenge for Detroit, but a great game to kick off the Monday night doubleheader, where the number has gone from 4 to 5.5 in favor of the Lions.
That's really interesting, too, that you bring up all the injured wideouts and the injuries that they've had on cornerback with the Lions. I mean, it's impressive that both of these teams have managed to come out with winning records, despite the fact that they've had to go through basically a process of who's the next man up with week to week, including with Bucky Irving going out, and then Rashad White steps up. And this week it's Emeka Egbuka. Is he going to be able to go? How much do those injuries factor into the numbers here at play?
Factor in. I think especially when it's multiple injuries. When it's one, we usually don't see that much of an adjustment, but when it's a key position like wide receiver or DB or linebacker or running back, and you've seen abundance of those injuries, it does factor in. We think Mike Evans might be back. Godwin's still a little bit banged up. You're right about Bucky Irving, but Rashad White has stepped right in. Losing Egbuka really hurts, though, as well. So you're not getting a full Tampa offense And the same thing on Detroit, as we kind of talked about. They have a number of DBs that are out, a DB that was suspended last week. So It's a little bit different there. But Detroit plays so good in the Dome, indoors. Jared Goff is playing good. I really believe, though, again, that these two teams will meet at some point in January to get to the next level in the postseason.
Great. So let's move on to that next game. Like you said, starting after their first game on Monday night. I love that, because I tell you, I was like, my head's on a swivel constantly when I'm trying to figure out what to do with two games going on simultaneously. So this time we get to take a breather, go on, the next one starts. What do you have here with the Texans matchup, Chuck?
Well, I think it's a great matchup, too. I mean, the Texans come off their bye. They've been a little bit of a disappointment now. I mean, they weren't the same team last year offensively with C.J. Stroud after he won the Rookie of the year before. They're still a little bit challenged this year. I mean, they're playing without Joe Mixon. They haven't run the ball great, but they're still a good team. I mean, they've still can generate some pressure on defense. But this Seattle team, I think you make a case that if Tampa's one of the surprise teams and the Colts are one of the surprise teams, Seattle is as well. Sam Darnold has been great. That defense, 8 sacks last week against Jacksonville. They've been lights out. Sam Darnold's played really well for them so far. It looks like they made the right decision. They've got 2 running backs in Walker and Charbonnet. JSN has been a stud at wideout. It's a really good Seattle team, and always tough for any team to go into the House of Boom or House of Doom, which it is called, for the 12th man to play in Seattle. So really tough task for the Texans right now, and they sit as about a 3.5 point underdog in the late game on Monday night.
All right, and don't forget, if you're going to place some kind of wager on the STN Sports app, you have the $50 no worry, no wager going on, right, Chuck? They're going to match it. If you make a $50 bet, they don't win, then guess what? You get your money back, correct?
It's up to a $50 no worry wager. You're absolutely right. You place that bet, you win. Yay, way to go. If you lose, we're going to give you that up to 50, whatever you played back on that game. So it's a great offer. And as we know, this time of year it gets busy for everybody. Sign up for STN Sports. It really does bring the sportsbook to you.
Fantastic stuff. We appreciate your time so much, as always, Chuck, and look forward to talking to you again next week as we head into week 8, already week 7, almost in the books here, everyone. So everybody enjoy the time out there. Make sure that you download the Station Casinos STN Sports app. And for Chuck Esposito, I'm Heidi Fang. Now let's get back to the guys on the postgame podcast.
This was a game that Ned didn't see coming. We had prepared really well. We were tuned into it, and I can't imagine. I couldn't imagine that the guys that weren't able to play in this game would make that much of a factor. I just didn't feel that in our preparation. But they're a terrific team. They did everything like they do, and they played really well in all phases and kept us totally at bay. We couldn't make a first down and couldn't get off the field, and they just did like they do. And so when we have a lot of work to do, and we have a lot of catching up to do, and we got to get our guys back. The key guys that missed the game are key guys on our football team, and we weren't able to overcome that.
Talking about the debacle today that occurred here at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. I mean, the Raiders go on the bye week. You know, there was a little glimmer of hope that they were going to win today and maybe go to the bye week with a 3-4 record and a 2-game winning streak. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I just don't see any way out of this hole that they've dug themselves, and they're just taking on more sand and more sand and more sand. And today, you lose Adam Butler to back spasms right before kickoff. Max Crosby goes out of the game with a back and knee issues that he's been dealing with previously that started barking during the game. Pete, Carroll said he just didn't look right. They yanked him. Isaiah Polamalu went out of the game at one point too, so we'll have to catch up on that. I guess the break probably couldn't come at a better time for these Raiders to kind of lick their wounds and try to get healthy and try to make some semblance of something of this season when they get back.
Yeah, I mean, I think several guys talked in the locker room that they would like to play next week just to get this out of their system, to put this in the rearview mirror and move on. Unfortunately, they don't get to do that. They have to play, or they have to sit out. They have to wait 2 weeks until they get a chance to get out there. But they should be healthier when they come back. You would hope that's one benefit of the bye, especially when it comes right in the middle of the season. That's what you're hoping for. You can get some guys back. Brock Bowers has taken a couple weeks off now, gets an extra week off. Jacoby Myers obviously tried to go today. Didn't work out. He worked out in warm-ups. He didn't look very good, so he gets an extra week if he's still on the team at that point. So, I mean, yeah, they should get a little healthier. That is the positive. The downside, they have to sit on this for 2 weeks. They have to think about this for 2 weeks. They have to watch it over and over. They'll probably get away from football, go on vacation a little bit, but this will be replaying in their mind over and over again, and this is not something you want to have. It's it's October. It's a horror movie. There's no question.
It is a horror movie, and as if the Raiders' luck wasn't bad enough, the whole Jacoby Myers, I know it doesn't seem like it's a significant knee injury, but there's no team that's going to trade for him until he gets back out on the field. Yeah. So he couldn't even, and we'll see, on November 2nd when they get back to work against the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he is at that point. Hopefully for him and for them, he's good to go, because that could be a nice little piece that they can move to get at least something. And for the reasons that Adam articulated, start playing some more of these young players and clear the path for them. We'll see. I don't know. It was one of those days, and like I said, probably the worst performance that I've ever seen covered from an NFL team, and the Raiders are going to have to eat this one for a couple of weeks.
I feel like that 3-0 game would have been worse, but it wasn't. It just wasn't.
No.
It felt like it just because it was so in that game, it was both teams.
Both teams were bad.
So it was tough to watch.
Yes.
But this was a worse.
Yeah, because you got spanked. You got spanked. The Chiefs pulled out the belt.
Yeah.
And put one on the Raiders, and the Raiders did not help themselves whatsoever. I want to say thank you for all the listeners and all the support. I know it's a tough season. Thank you for sticking with us. We'll be back on. It's the bye week, so we're not quite sure what the game plan's going to be this week, but we'll come up with something. Until we see you again, thanks for all the support. Don't forget to go to mylvrj.com/nation. And get the next 3 months of a digital subscription to Vegas Nation for all of one quarter. That's mylvrj.com/nation and get that great coverage for one quarter.
You said a quarter. It can't be.
It is a quarter. It's a quarter. It's 25 cents for the next 3 months. That'll get you through the end of the season, maybe even into the Senior Bowl at this point. Yeah. In the little bit of the draft process, which I think is going to be on everybody's mind here pretty soon. And who knows? Maybe we'll do a mock draft this week.
We might do that.
We might do a mock draft, so keep an eye out on that over at Vegas Nation. Maybe next Sunday, a week from today, maybe we'll drop a mock draft just for the.
Stay tuned.
Just for the the maniacs out there that are already starting to think. And guess what? We're a couple of them. We're already starting to look at that at the NFL draft. But anyway, enjoy the rest of your weekend and Sunday night. Have a great week, and we will see you guys down the road in just a little bit.